it's far better to be alone than in bad company. The harder the conflict, the greater the challenge. The Constitution is the guide which I never will abandon. A good beer makes yum yum in my tum tum.
Okay, so that last one isn't real. But did you know that George Washington, the first US president, was a homebrewer? Today we'll take a look into his diary to find a hidden passage for a small beer recipe. Try to decipher it and then brew it up, just in time for the 4th of July. I'm TheBruSho and this is The Brew Show. Let's brew like Washington. Apparently beer was a favorite drink at Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington. He reportedly had a cup of house-brewed beverage at dinner each night, probably because it was cleaner than water. But I like to think that he just liked a good craft beer. There's actually a lot of interesting facts about Washington and his relationship with beer. Even one story about him allegedly paying workers in hops. But most interesting of all can be found hidden in one of his journals from 1757, while he was a captain of the Virginia Regiment. When the journal is read from front to back, it reads like any older man's diary, a bunch of to-dos and reminders. But when the book's flipped around, on the back side of the last page is a special entry for a small beer recipe. A small beer would have been a drink low in ABV, one that's ideal for soldiers or workers to drink during the day to stay hydrated but not get too intoxicated. But this recipe doesn't read like a beersmith recipe. It's a bit more cryptic and questionable. It reads as so. To make small beer, take a large sieve full of bran, hops to your taste, boil these 3 hours. Then strain out 30 gallons into a cooler. Put in 3 gallons of molasses while the beer is scalding hot, or rather draw the molasses into the cooler and strain the beer on it while boiling hot. Let this stand till it is a little more than blood warm, then put in a quart of yeast. If the weather is very cold, cover it with a blanket and let it work in the cooler 24 hours, then put it into the cask. Leave the bung open till it is almost done working. Bottle it that day, week it was brewed. See what I mean? I don't even know what a sieve full of bran is. But you can see there are other parts to a beer, like hops, yeast, and even words like cask and bung. But there's no measurements for how much hops to use, and other info we consider vital today. Upon reading this for the first time, I was immediately curious. I had to know, what would it have tasted like? But researching and reading more, I began to question whether or not this would actually taste good. So instead of replicating this word for word, I decided to take a little bit of creative liberty, taking this recipe and sort of modernizing it, using modern brewing practices, ingredients, and technique to make a small beer that is still palatable, but would also honor this original recipe. Let's get to brewing, and I'll talk a little bit about the changes and upgrades I made. To start, the first change I made was to the size. I'm not about to make 30 gallons of mystery beer, so I made a 2.5 gallon batch. The next change was in the way it was brewed. I highly doubt that Washington was doing brew in a bag, but that's what I'm doing today, or at least a partial mash. So to start, I heated up 4 gallons of distilled water, to which I made some mineral adjustments. We're lucky to have the knowledge now to know how important water chemistry is. But in order to level the playing ground, I went with a water profile on Beersmith that's for Washington, D.C. And while that profile is probably nothing like the water he used, or what it was like back then, I still get points for trying, right? Now let's talk about the sieve full of bran. Everything I can find on the word sieve comes up with digit or number. Okay. And bran, well, that's a thing. Wheat bran is actually the outer layer of the wheat kernel, and apparently is a great source of fiber. When looking around the internet for other homebrewers that have used wheat bran, they reported that it's rich in oils and can actually add a rancid-like flavor to the beer. No thanks. So instead, I'll be opting for flaked wheat, which will ideally add a good amount of protein and body to the otherwise thin beer. We'll see about that. Shout out to Northern Brewer for hooking me up with the flaked wheat and hops for this recipe, by the way. So what I did was toss 2 pounds of flaked wheat into some grain sacks, and then threw them in the water for 15 minutes at 154 degrees. Flaked wheat by itself won't add much fermentables, if any, or many nutrients to support a good yeast health, so I'll be sure to add in some yeast nutrients later. But this quick mash will help those proteins release into the wort, if you can call it that. After the 15 minutes were up, I brought it to a boil, and right at the top of the 60-minute boil, I added the first hop, And what better than Liberty hops? A salute to America. I added a ½ ounce. At the 15-minute mark, I tossed in a Whirlfloc tablet, another modern invention to help with clarity. I also added a bit of yeast nutrient here, just eyeballing them out. And then at the end of the 60 minutes, I turned off the burner and added another ½ ounce of Liberty, followed by the final ingredient, molasses. Like his recipe states, I too added the molasses while the beer was still hot. This helps it dissolve, but also keeps its flavors intact. I added 8 ounces of molasses, and boy, did it change the color of this wort. The final step was to chill it down, but I decided to do like George and do a no chill. I just transferred it into my fermenter and let it chill down to blood warm, or whatever that means, before adding the yeast. Washington didn't state which strain he used, unfortunately, so I just went with a good old American ale strain. The OG on this one was pretty dang low, 1.015, and pretty much all those sugars were coming from the molasses. I've never made anything this small before, but today that's the name of the game. I closed it up and let it ferment for a little less than a week, at which point I took the final gravity reading and got 1.003, which means this small beer comes in at about 1.6%. The molasses sure was fermentable. From there I kegged it up. George says to bottle, so you could do that if you want, but for me, after a day of burst carving, this small beer was ready to drink. Well, it certainly looks like beer. The color is a brownish red, with a tan head that tries to hang around, but then goes away pretty quickly. On the aroma is a pretty dominant molasses character, a mix of a sweet and smoky caramel aroma. But on the sip is where things get really interesting. Immediately, I noticed how thin the body is, just slightly thicker than water, but way too thin to be an acceptable beer in today's day and age. Again, molasses is the dominant flavor, but there is a little bit of a bitter kick at the end from the hops that makes this more drinkable. It definitely takes a few sips to get into. I think my mind's playing a few tricks on me in the first few sips, thinking it's going to be more full, but once you get past that, it's actually pretty interesting. It sort of drinks like if a soda and a beer had a baby. The carbonation is doing a lot here to help. But knowing what we know today about beer, especially low to no alcohol beers, I think we can do a lot better than this. I wouldn't run out to the store and brew this one up unless you're a real history buff, but I'll give GW a pass on this one. I think if he had brewing software and the knowledge we have today, he probably would make something better too. Or even better, is if he had watched this video on how to improve your beer. He'd be making amazing brews all the time. And you can too. Just check out this video to find out how. Cheers and happy 4th of July, everyone.